Hi, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Aditya Krishnan, and I'm a technical marketing engineer at Vila. I hope you're all having a wonderful time here at VMworld. And I know I haven't had a chance to, sleep for the past 24 hours with all the activities and things like that. So I'm glad I'm glad I could make it out here today. So one of the things that I deal with is, as a technical marketing engineer, I work along with a lot of customers, help them create solutions, and tell them and help them with some of their critical projects, such as disaster recoveries, cloud migrations, things of that sort. And that's really what the context of this talk is going to be about. It's going to be about application dependency mapping and how it can help customers and some of the use cases for these application dependency mapping. So first of all, with application dependency mapping, it is very, very important to know that the full 360-degree view is essential for any organization's success, right? So with application dependency mapping, it gives you the ability to see that 360-degree view and see what essentially is going on within the environment itself. So what essentially is application dependency mapping? At the end of the day, application dependency mapping is the process of tracking all the relationships between all the different entities within the environment, whether it is your different servers, your network, your storage, as well as all the different switches and things of that sort within the environment. And it's being able to track all these. And why is it so important? Application dependency mapping is important in three folds. First of all, it helps you in identifying any risks within the environment, being able to identify what are the different components and all the single point of failures within the environment. A lot of times organizations end up having single point of failures which is not unidentified until an application dependency mapping is put into place. Secondly, it helps us in identifying any application performance issues all the way to the downstream to show where exactly the bottlenecks lie within the environment. And finally, it's used for planning of critical projects such as disaster recovery and cloud migration projects as well. So as I talked about, application dependency mapping is a very, very critical tool that can be used in so many different ways. It's a single tool which has multiple use cases. And as you can see from the section on the right, you can see it has like a lot of use cases such as asset management, root cause identification, disaster recovery planning, and so on. And I'll be talking about some of these in further detail as we go along with the presentation. So one of the first and foremost usages of application dependency maps is asset management and auditing. Over here, we all have come across like so many different organizations. We've all been a part of so many organizations where certain applications have been created 10 years ago, and nobody knows exactly what those applications do anymore. Documentation, it may have been created, but it's obsolete as soon as you create it. And this is really where application dependency maps can really help your organization. Application dependency maps would be able to discover any of your virtual and physical server assets and their interdependencies, and at the same time identify all those areas and identify all those virtual machines or servers that you didn't really know what it was doing. Second, identifying the root cause of any application degradations. Right? This is really, really critical because as you all know that application dependency maps can tell you exactly where the bottlenecks lie within the environment. Is it on the application tier? Is your network having some issues? Are you having like network latency issues that is causing like issues in the back end with your databases? Or is it on your web server tier, and so on? And this is really where application dependency map can be used in order to identify the root cause of your environment. Thirdly, this is one of the most popular use cases of application dependency map in this day. Being able to identify all your assets before you move to the cloud becomes very quintessential for the organization. It is also important because every organization needs to know all the different assets that could be moved, and all the different ports that it is using in order to move some of these applications to the cloud itself. Cost analysis and cost planning becomes very critical with regards to cloud migration. As we all know, cloud is not as cheap as it is advertised to be. It is important to make sure that it is optimized in terms of traffic accordingly. Any traffic that goes into cloud is generally free of charge, but coming out of cloud is where you pay a lot of money. So you can keep all that in mind as well. So the next is data center consolidation. So in a lot of organizations these days, instead of having multiple data centers in multiple different locations, they tend to basically bring all of them together and consolidate the data center. This essentially is created to help reduce the costs and basically can help in identifying areas to reduce costs and optimize the environment as well. While doing this, it is really important to understand and baseline some of the performances from before the application was moved to once the data center is consolidated, how the performance actually is with regards to the data center consolidation project. The other use case with regards to application dependency mapping pertains towards security. A lot of times we can, by drawing out application dependency maps, it is very easy for us to identify any application anomalies. And as we all know, modern day cyber attacks are really in stealth mode. They are no longer the smash and grab that they used to be. So being able to identify the single point of failures and identifying these multi-tiered applications can tell you what are the assets that could be compromised in case one asset is known to be compromised already. On the same lines, tracking application behavior anomalies is absolutely critical. As I already mentioned, most of the cyber attacks in this day and age are smash and grab are not smash and grab and more on the stealth side of things. You can quickly see any minor deviations or any assets. For example, if your domain controller gets affected, there is a possibility that every single asset in your environment can get affected as well, because your domain controller essentially connects to every single asset in your environment. So it is very, very critical for us to know the application dependencies of all this as well. Another very important use case is to be able to optimize your configurations. Being able to identify and stay on top of all these application impacts and application performance configurations is very, very critical. A lot of times with our fast-moving IT organizations these days, everybody brings up new applications. When with containerization and all these newer technologies, new applications can be brought about on the fly. And this really causes an IT nightmare a lot of times. And using application dependency mapping, knowing what the different changes are within the environment becomes very critical. And being able to import all this into a CMDB to keep track of all these assets becomes very critical as well. Finally, reducing technical debt is a very, very important aspect for most IT organizations. Being able to identify what are the different servers that actually have connections or in some cases, with using application dependency maps, you can find out dormant or underutilized servers, which you may not otherwise find as well. This way, when you can tie it down to like a special project like cloud migrations, and make sure that you retire some of these servers as you go ahead with some of these projects. Finally, thank you so much for listening to my presentation today. And if you have any questions, I'll be here for a few minutes. And if you have any questions for later, like, you can definitely visit me at. I'll be at the Vila booth 2029 if you want to come and ask me any more questions. Thank you.